do you have a desire to say anything yourself as the general captain of the ship?
No, I don't have to. I mean, I'll say hi when you introduce me and maybe add something to it, but I'll chime in when needed.
Okay. Just don't want to step on your toes. That's fine.
No, this is your show, or you guys' show. I'm giving you guys the platform to talk about what you want to talk about. I have no bearing on what the hell we're covering.
You need to just get on it. You need to just start binge watching this shit and catch up.
Yeah,
Seriously,
I don't know if I have that in me.
It's every episode up until the last one's on Netflix still. So, I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
I know it's there. Yeah, if I have the choice between either starting a new show, or there's other stuff that I'd rather watch than this. This one's lower on my priority list. Or if I have free time, it's either start a new show or play some video games. And video games have been winning out recently.
I didn't understand a word you just said.
It's all gibberish to you.
It's all after.
Once you heard low on the totem pole.
After I heard not a priority, I just synapses weren't firing right. Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Bry Guy and his Super Friends, the only podcast where, holy frick, did you see the season premiere of Walking Dead? Jesus Christ, it was out of control! I will be your kind of quasi-temporary host, Josh, for the evening. Joining us is, of course, the Captain at Large, Brian Labick.
Hello, I'm here for just emotional support.
And there's plenty that's going to need to be going around. Of course, Mike Romano is here.
I'm here. I'm not dead. I'm good.
Your picture is not turned to black and white yet on that original cast photo where they keep making everyone it looks like ghosts who are now dead.
I'm hanging in. I'm 7 seasons strong, bitches.
And coming back yet again, the newest and popular contributor to the show, Mike Bradley.
Hello, I'm here. Yes, I guess I'm still alive. But I'm soon to be dead. I feel like I'm going, though. I feel like they're going to cut my role. You know, it is what it is.
Checks in the mail.
Got to review that contract. All right, so we are going to be focusing primarily on The Walking Dead, and especially in light of the season premiere of Season 7 occurring this past Sunday. I know the topic has come up on many past shows, and every time, especially Mike Romano and I are on together, and Brian says, we need to set some kind of like Walking Dead episode, we gotta do that eventually. Well, it only took, close to, 70 episodes almost? What is this gonna be?
It's fitting, though. It's fitting. It's the 7th season premiere of Walking Dead. We are on the 70th episode of the podcast.
Oh,
Is it?
Perfect.
All right.
I mean, I did suggest it, and I feel like it happened quicker than when you guys suggested. That's all I'm saying.
Man, I guess, as like basically almost like the co-host of this show, I mean, as close to it as you come, I guess I have no pull anymore. Well, I see how I rank, Brian Labick.
I'm just trying to balance the mics out as best I can.
Give him more clout since he's new, huh? Try to even us out.
I can't play favorites.
I got like 30 episodes under my belt. This guy's got like 3.
He makes a point.
Everybody needs that little nudge over the cliff, and we finally got it.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to say, actually, quickly first, then, I'm a little disappointed in the crew for not making one comment or acknowledgement or joke last episode about the 69th episode.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that.
I wasn't aware it was the 69th episode.
Way to drop the ball, guys.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't really pay attention to episode numbers until like after we're done, and I'm starting to edit it and stuff like that. So
we can retcon the 69th episode. We can put some stuff in here that'll
make a 69 joke now. I'll put it in the previous episode.
You got to include coffee since we were talking about Luke Cage. So
I ain't getting coffee with any of you guys.
Can we include a sweet Christmas in there with somehow? I don't know. But
I don't know. One of the best lines from that show is a pimp stormtrooper.
Yeah.
I want to use that as much as possible now.
Well, as we said, this is going to be our Walking Dead centric episode, and although in a couple of seconds you are going to hear the official Super Friends spoiler warning. Look, can we just be honest about internet content and listening to podcasts and things? This is about entertainment and pop culture. If you don't like it or aren't into it or haven't gotten to it yet, of course
Get the
it's
fuck out.
Yeah, it's gonna say stuff that you don't know yet. So just stop being a pansy about it, all right? There's 6 full seasons of this show down already. If you haven't gotten into it yet, like somebody on the panel, then
What? Who would that be?
that's fine. As Brian would say, pause this podcast and go watch all of it before you come back and listen to it. But that's going to be the entire episode. So if you're not a fan of The Walking Dead, or you honestly think you might get there eventually and you don't want to know everything we're going to talk about, put this episode in your bank, come back to it in the future. But otherwise, it's time to spoil.
And retroactively ignore your Facebook feed for the last 3 days if you can.
Wee-oo, spoiler! Wee-oo, spoiler! You know, something like that.
I feel like that started a lot more mean of a spoiler alert than I normally do. Everyone's like, get the fuck out.
I mean, come on. If you're not down with this shit by now, I mean, what? The comic book's been around since like 2003, 2004. So if you don't know what the fuck's going on by now,
And you know, it's just like I said, if it's not your thing, or if it might be, but you just haven't gotten there yet, I get it. Just don't complain. Just
it's
come,
like,
come
I mean,
on.
I don't like if you're listening
So,
to this
let's-
show, I think you probably know about this stuff by now. That's my thought.
I'm gonna hope so.
I mean, the host doesn't, so... I mean, he doesn't watch, so I mean, I think it's fair enough to say that maybe not.
I mean, I might not watch, but I know we've had a lot of requests for this topic specifically.
Well, then...
So that's why I wanted to make sure we got it in somehow, even if it's not by me.
True. And you know what? Even though there was like a long delay on, formally having a discussion on it, I don't think there was any better time that we could dive into something than what went down with the cliffhanger from the end of season 6, and then what we got to see opening up season 7. For me personally, I am going to actually ask my other contributors. I am not a comic book reader for The Walking Dead. Reason being is I didn't know it was based on a book when it first went on air, but I am a huge zombie fan. I'm a huge horror fan. And when the show came on, it looked legit. Like, oh my god, there's a network actually taking this seriously. They're going to put a budget. There's going to be effects. It's going to be good. So I was into it from day one. After like season 3, I went back and read like 10 issues from a trade paperback or one of the big compendiums. And already at that point, they were starting to talk about things, in the way like they reshuffle timelines or storylines in the comics, or they assign certain events to different characters and things they rearrange. There was stuff already getting spoiled for me, so I set the comics down and haven't gone back. So someday when The Walking Dead's no longer on TV and the series is over, I will probably go back and read them all. But
You can read the first 2 compendiums and it'll catch you up to right now.
Yeah,
Without-
I mean...
go ahead.
I kind of already spoiled the one thing for you. But I think I did at least.
Well, a little bit, but I didn't really know what you were talking about anyway, so it wasn't that bad. You just basically made reference to something that I don't know.
Okay. Well, I mean, the one thing that I would say that, it's not really a spoiler at this point, because even if you've just seen the cover of the compendium for the second or third compendium, yeah, Rick's missing a hand. Okay, like it's pretty, like that's widely known at this point. They teased it throughout this whole damn first episode, and they didn't do it, which was the one thing I wasn't happy with. But by the end of the second compendium, you're not even. I mean, you haven't even met Negan yet, because that ends at issue 96. Negan's first appearance was issue 100. So.
Okay.
I mean, you should be good on that.
Okay, and that's good for the other listeners as well. So
Yeah, you can absolutely read the first 96 issues of the comic book, and it'll take you almost to where we are right now.
Yeah.
And is there other events, so to speak, that you feel might get intertwined into the show later that they haven't used yet?
Not really.
No, I mean, like,
No, because
the differences are, like, there's certain characters in the comics that are alive, that are dead on the show, and vice
Right.
versa. So, it's hard to say what exactly they're going to do. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
you can see like there's like people were like flip flopped, like certain like you'll see the almost the exact same thing happen,
Okay.
but to a different character.
yeah,
Okay.
that,
So like it'll happen in the TV show, but it'll happen to a totally different character in the in the comic book.
Okay.
But it's like it's still almost like the same things happen though.
So would they do
Okay.
that just to like keep the comic book readers guessing?
Absolutely,
yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
I think it's more to keep the people watching the show guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they don't read the comic book, they wouldn't know
Right.
which character is supposed to die at that moment. But comic book
But that's all-
readers
they
would be
don't-
expecting one person, and then when it's someone else, that's still a surprise for them.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, they don't. I remember they interviewed Kirkman about it, and he said that they wanted it to follow similarly to the comic books, but they also wanted it to be different for the people that have read the comic books and the diehard fans, and they want them to, maybe just experience something a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, in the comics, I think Mike is more up to date than I am, but I mean, Rick is actually still seeing Andrea in the comics, not
Yeah.
Michonne. Like,
Yeah.
he never has a thing with Michonne in the comics,
No,
but
Michonne's still
Andrea's been
alive.
dead for
Michonne's
4
still there,
seasons.
but- Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? But she's still alive and kicking in the comics, and Rick's love interest. So, it's just kind of an idea of, like, where they go without really spoiling anything for the show, because she's dead. So, there's no spoiler here.
And Carol is not the badass that she is in the show.
No, I think that she
that's
wasn't.
a shame because she's like maybe my favorite character.
Carol was pretty pathetic in the comic books,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
She just stays the way that she is in like season 1 and most of 2.
Yep.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. She remains pretty helpless. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of differences, but the one thing that they're going to do this season that I'm very happy about is, I was actually wondering whether or not they would do it, was Ezekiel with the tiger. Like, I was sure
So
Ezekiel
freaking
was
cool.
going to show up, but him having the tiger, and once again,
yeah.
not a spoiler. If you watch the trailers, the tiger's in the trailers.
Yeah, I saw the friggin' tiger.
Yeah, he has a tiger in the comic books. It's friggin' badass. I just didn't know whether or not they would actually go so far, because I felt like in the comics that was one of the things that was actually got to the point of ridiculous. You know, like it's something that really actually might not happen for any reason in the zombie apocalypse, because who's just walking around with a tiger? I mean,
But that's pretty fucking cool, though.
oh no, I'm not saying it's not cool, but it's
The pet tigers.
Is the tiger
What,
trained to eat
zombies' heads off?
zombies?
yeah, oh yeah, it fights right alongside them when they go out and fight zombies and stuff. Like it's pretty damn badass. But once again, I feel like it's the one thing Kirkman went over the top with. Like, it was like, okay, now it's like,
Yeah.
this is not just people fighting people for resources and
Yeah,
zombies
yeah,
in the
for
way.
the most part, it's grounded. It's pretty grounded if you really think about it. Like, it's pretty realistic, except for the tiger.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming you could. I mean,
could be
relatively
Mike Tyson
you've
with
seen
dreads.
people train tigers. I mean, so there's
And
no
then you see what
saying
happens
you
when
can't-
Siegfried and Roy have trained tigers, and
That was
it's a
immediately what I started
trained
thinking of,
tiger.
too.
It's not.
Well, it's still, yeah, a tiger's still a tiger. It's going to eat your fucking face off. But
Yeah. I mean, I don't think with all the other dangers in that world that you're taking the chance of having a pet tiger. Like, not
about
to
you,
mention
but I
how
am.
much more you have to have to feed a tiger. Like, the tigers weigh like 800 pounds. Do you know how much the thing has to eat in a day? You could feed like 5
many-
people.
How many zombies does it kill a day?
I don't know.
you can eat as many zombies as it wants.
That's got to be eating zombie meat, right? That'll fill it up.
I would think that would. It may not turn into a zombie, but I would think that would make it sick.
Yeah,
No,
I'm gonna
they-
Yeah,
go-
they
I'm
have
gonna
to.
go
it's
with
like
You'd think
decaying
they'd have to
flesh
feed it
and
like
stuff.
real food. Yeah,
I mean,
maybe fresh zombies, fresh dead people.
I would still
Fresh
think
dead people.
that,
Subway style.
somebody on the wall with a gun is taking out more zombies than that tiger is.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's just a pet. It's just.
it's just there to be a badass thing, is what it was. Like, it,
Yeah, that's exactly right.
you know, but I'm looking forward to that. That's probably the thing I'm like most looking forward to in this season, because
And they interviewed Nicotero, I think it was, and he said that and like it's like legit animatronics / CG.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's not like it's like a real effect. That's pretty awesome. You know, it's a real effect with like some CG added to it.
yeah, I mean,
So that's pretty cool because you wouldn't expect to see that. It's kind of big budget stuff there if you really think about it.
honestly, this show could ask for whatever budget it wanted, and
fuck yeah.
they
Yeah.
would turn it right
It's
over.
the #1 show on TV. Period.
That was
Yeah.
a point I actually wanted to make as well, is that I did not expect this, but they were talking about the ratings. I think it was either yesterday or this morning. I was listening on the radio, and they're talking about the ratings from Sunday night, and they said it got like 17.1 million viewers, which made it only the second most watched episode.
Yeah,
And-
I heard it wasn't #1, which surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah, I was shocked that it was not #1. That just...
That was live though, wasn't it? That was just live watchings. That's still not figuring in.
Well, neither's
people
the other
that have
one.
Had a DVD.
Yeah, I mean, neither is the one that's
okay.
considered #1. I mean, that's...
Yeah, what did they say? Which one still holds
Which
its
which
record?
episode was that?
Oh, I'm
curious.
pretty sure it was, I guess, season 4, episode 1, after they're scattered by the governor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I understand.
You totally
Yeah,
do.
Brian does.
I totally get that reference.
You
Hey,
right now you are Captain America, like unfrozen and living in a new world.
Short synopsis, Brian. Season 3, there's this badass dude named the Governor. They're staying in a prison. He blows down the walls. They actually end up winning the fight, rebuild the walls. He goes off into God knows where. Bam, last episode of the season, he turns back up, kills 2 main characters, blows down all the fences and walls and everything they have, scatters the entire group, and ends season. And so seeing where everybody's storyline was going to go, I guess got
Yeah.
pretty high.
It was the first time after 3 years that, they spent 3 seasons building this community of people up, and then all of a sudden they're forced to separate. So they all went their own ways, like by necessity. So yeah, I can see how season 4
I
beat
think
that.
that's what it was. I'm not certain. I'd have to look it up to be certain, but I think I remember hearing that before.
So the 2 highest rated episodes are episodes where 2 people die.
No. It's season.
'cause
It was the episode after all that stuff I just said.
Okay, I got you.
Like, they
That was
ended
the lead
season
into
3.
the okay.
Right.
Yeah, so that's actually a good jumping on point to the season premiere Sunday. So, did anybody, especially for the readers, like, did you guys see more than one death coming? Did you think there was going to be more than one?
Pretty sure pre-episode talking last week that I said exactly what was going to happen. Well,
Really?
we were kind of chatting before the show, yeah. I'm pretty sure I called that. Might have been after, actually, that me and Mike were talking about it.
The 2 people that were killed. I said I didn't think they would get rid of. I didn't think they were going to do both of them.
Uh-huh.
I said it would absolutely be one of those 2 people.
Oh, really?
Cause yeah, I mean, are we spoiling this?
Yeah, go
We can
for
say
it.
who
Yeah,
was?
the warning's out there.
Okay, so I knew Abraham. Like he even said, if you watch Talking Dead at all, he was on borrowed time. Abraham technically in the comic books died a couple episodes before that.
Okay.
Should have
The arrow through the eye that...
the arrow through the eye with the doctor. That should have
yeah.
been Abraham.
I
So
think that in the
Abraham
comics.
was on borrowed time. So I was like, well, if they kill off Abraham, it could be Abraham.
Sure.
That would be it. But then I was like, the comic books, it was Glenn. So I mean, that's like a no-brainer. So I was like, it's one of those 2. I was actually very shocked to see that it was both of them.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I didn't see that smoke screen. That when did it go off the air? In April? So for 6 months,
Yeah.
I've just been thinking, every time the topic would come up, who is it? Which one is it? Which person would it make sense to have an impact on the show? Like, thinking about it from every which angle, it never occurred to me that it would be more than one. And it definitely didn't occur to me that if it were to happen, that it would just be Negan directly killing them like one after the other. like the way they broke the episode up, it made it like it might have been 15 minutes apart or 20 minutes apart. But if you played it chronologically, the whole thing probably happened within like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So I
Maybe not even that.
absolutely did not see that coming. Like I could have seen like, oh, he kills somebody, then events that occur as a result of that leads to a scuffle or something else, or they leave and then someone's regrouped, and through further events, in the episode, someone else is taken out, but it never occurred to me that it would go down that way.
See,
Go ahead.
I personally, I'm okay with the way they did it, because the reason they did it that way is in order to get the point across with Negan, he's actually, like, in the comics, he's an evil bastard,
Yeah.
but
Ruthless,
he's
evil
likable
bastard.
because he has
Yeah.
a charismatic personality.
Yeah.
And you have to over-demonize him, which is why in the comics he had to kill Glenn. It had to be one of the original people in the comics, because if it was just Abraham or Sasha, somebody like that, it would be like, okay, they're gone. All right, we all knew that, eventually this character, that character was going to die. But I really felt at the end of last season that they were going to kill Daryl, simply because that would demonize him to the most people.
Oh, yeah.
Daryl's, the most popular character on the show, and there would be more people pissed off and wanting to see retribution for it and everything like that. So I felt that would be the route they would go. But having him kill two people instead of just the one Daryl, I kind of feel like they went that route. Unfortunately, they had to kill Abraham, and you're not going to get any more of those one-liners and things like that that were so fantastic.
Which I actually forgot how many great things there were.
Absolutely.
I mean, just when he's got his head blasted open by a baseball bat, and he's sitting there half alive, and he still says, like, suck my nuts. Like, it's like, yeah, all right, that was a good way to go. If he was going to go, that's how Abraham would go. I can deal with that.
Yes.
But I miss that we're not going to get any more of that creative writing and more of those.
Well, here's how I approached from the time that season 6 ended. I said the show has gone. The show can be very, I don't want to say predictable, but it's very cyclical. They go to a different place. There's a different group of people. They have conflict. Things arise. Eventually, walkers, zombies will play a role in their conflict. But pretty much by the end of the season, the people antagonist and the location typically have to change. That's gotten a little stale to a certain degree. So I figured somebody well in advance spoiled for me that yes, it is Glenn who Negan kills. So I figured they're either going to stick with him or they're going to go with someone as equally, as you guys have sort of said, equally impacting for the show. They gotta raise the stakes. As you said, like, Rosita, Eugene, Abraham, Sasha, they've all been on the show long enough that people have, a good connection with them, but nothing like they do Rick, Carl, Glenn, Michonne, and Daryl.
And Maggie.
And Maggie. I don't think they ever, even if it had been her in the comics and she wasn't pregnant in the comics or something, I don't think they would have allowed the brutal beating of a pregnant woman.
No, that would have been too far.
I didn't think it would be a woman, period.
That's
why I ruled out women in general.
Okay.
Just right off the bat.
So, and there's that. So my thought was this. Abraham would have been a good choice because he's the Rock. He's the sturdiest. He's the strongest. He's
the soldier.
Exactly. He is the soldier, both metaphorically and literally. So, and I thought if they're not going to go with Glenn, right, they've got to go with someone else very impacting. Now, the reason I thought they might be pivoting from Glenn was they teased that Glenn died in the first half of the season. In the fall, when they allude to him having been killed, and then they actually don't answer it for like 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, that was bullshit.
They did exactly what I've said to a few people, that I wasn't sure they would do. So I wonder if they intentionally put that moment in that episode. I don't know if that's from the comics or not, but I don't know if they intentionally put that moment in there just to throw you off, to make you think that when the Negan time comes, that they wouldn't pick Glenn. Meaning, if you're producing a TV show and you're writing a storyline, why have this character, why make you think he, one of your most beloved has finally been killed off, only to show you that no, indeed he's still there, just to polish him off again at the end of the season. I think it was an intentional curveball, so that you just thought, oh, he's not the one Negan's gonna kill, because why would they do that? They just made you think he was dead before. They're not gonna do that. And they did it. And I think that was intentional.
I agree. I read Stephen Yeun's quotes following the episode. He was interviewed, and he was told at the beginning of season 6 what the character's fate was going to be.
Okay.
So there's stories about, they filmed every single one of those people there. They filmed the scenes they showed with the bat hitting them in the head, and they didn't tell anybody which one was actually going to take place until they started filming the new season.
Oh, okay.
But Stephen Yeun knew his character was going.
Okay.
Michael Cudlitz did not until filming began.
To film it.
Right.
Okay.
And I think given that he knew a full season in advance, they knew they were killing Glenn, they knew how they were going to do it, I think absolutely that's what it was. Is to give people that, Glenn's biggest fans, give them that peace of mind, like, they wouldn't do that to us again, and then do it. So
I want to say they even gave you a curveball probably right before that. The fact that everybody who read the comics knows that Glenn was going to be killed by Negan, and then instead of the first one to go is, what was the first guy's name? Abraham?
Yes.
So they kill him just to, again, surprise the comic readers. It's like, oh, I thought it was going to be Glenn. And then immediately afterwards, they do exactly what you thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
And the best part is if you go back and if you look at the comic books, you go panel by panel in the comic books, and you go scene by scene with Glenn's death, it is almost even the camera angles,
the eye
from
popping
the drawings, and the way he looked, the words that were said are, exact to the comic books. It is the comic book on screen.
The only thing that I've noticed with Jeffrey Dean Morgan in this first episode, it's the second episode as Negan,
right?
But first episode this season, that I feel like really, I don't think that he portrays the character of Negan in the same light as the comics. He's very close. Yeah. But Negan in the comic books feels a lot more dangerous and a lot less like the... He talks the same way, but I don't know. The Negan in the comic books feels much more dangerous without having to do anything. Before he does anything...
Well, in the comic books, he's a much more physically imposing figure, too.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan's a tall guy, but... Negan in the comic books is portrayed as being broad-shouldered, big, maybe not quite so tall, but definitely a large, daunting person to deal with. I don't know.
His presence is bigger.
Right.
Not that I'm saying that Jeffrey Dean Morgan has just done phenomenal.
Oh, he has,
absolutely phenomenal.
It just seems like it just feels a little different. That's all. It just Negan in the comics feels dangerous with a look. Jeffrey Dean Morgan gives that same look, but because of the way the character's drawn in the comics and the way Jeffrey Dean Morgan looks, he seems like a guy that you still want to give a high five when he's done doing whatever he's doing. in Negan in the comics, you seem like you want to run and hide behind a box.
Okay. Well, do you
That's kind of cool though. That's kind of
Yeah.
good though, because
Yeah.
it's like it's deceptive.
Right.
It's
Oh,
like, oh, yeah,
absolutely.
I'm a nice dude, blah blah blah, but I'm gonna bash your head in with Lucio.
right? And
Yeah.
to me, that almost makes him feel a little bit more dangerous because I wouldn't say that Jeffrey Dean Morgan's portrayal is. It's not that he has a lack of conscience or that he is amoral. It's like he's portraying it in a way that he knows he has deliberately chosen to forego morals. It's not like
Yeah.
he's a sociopath. He's not incapable of it. He has chosen to ignore it.
He
But you
has
also
his
have
own rules.
I'm sorry, real quick. So you also have now the contrast in behavior though of the governor that we got for like a season and a half already, where the governor kinda had that same imposing demeanor and then actually turned out to, yes, be like unbalanced from like a mental health state. Jeffrey Dean Morgan just seems dangerous because he doesn't wear it on his sleeve. It's just him.
Yeah, I mean, and Negan very much has his own set of morals and his own set of rules, which I'm sure the show will get to. Mm-hmm. Like he has his own ideas of what should be, and he gets a little bit to that with the idea of,
You work for me now.
right, you work for me, and he just beats Rick into submission, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he has his own other separate set of morals and ideals that I'm sure we'll get to that I'm not going to talk any more about. But they are there, they're just twisted and wrong. That's all. But it's an apocalypse morals, maybe, I don't know. But, yeah. We'll see as the season progresses where they go with that, because there's some of it they just cannot do.
Yeah.
I mean,
And like the thought is like everybody already like I've seen like things that, like people are expecting them to kill Negan off by the end of this year.
Okay. Well, because that's been like the track record.
Well, here's the deal. So the first 6 seasons took you to basically issue 100 of the comic books. Okay.
Okay.
We are on like 162 right now, and Negan is still in the comic books.
Ah.
So I don't see him unless they just can't afford Jeffrey Dean Morgan, which
That's-
I think is probably going to be bullshit because they make a ton of fucking money.
yeah,
Oh,
their
yeah,
budget can be what it is.
They probably took that into consideration when they cast him.
Yeah,
Sure,
and they
but-
have to. And well, you know what? Then they kill off some lesser characters, and it's all good.
That's how you balance a budget.
Well, it's also going to be his willingness to stay with the project, too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot of time to dedicate to a character in his career that are they going to be able to keep him around if they go the same route as the comics for 3 more seasons, if they
But
go that route.
if you look at like just the interaction between the cast and him, like he already fits in. Like he's like already in that cast, and he is one of the family now already.
Yeah.
And he's only been there for 8 months.
I would agree.
I mean, that was the big joke. I was like, well, they had to pay him, so that's why they killed Glenn and Abraham off.
The other thing about that reveal was, I should have suspected that something else might happen later when they finally show him choosing Abraham. They're just kind of straightforward about it. Like at the point of view shot that they gave you at the end of season 6, where you're seeing it from Abraham's eyes. Mm-hmm. They went about it differently, where it's now you're kind of not really looking through Rick's eyes, but kind of from that side of the perspective. And you
just left.
yeah, and you hear Negan say those words again, and then it's just like right then and there, he just raises the bat and wails him, like just cracks him. I should have realized like it was almost too straightforward. The way that they were showing you what people just spent 6 months talking about, they just kind of give you in the first 20 minutes. And it just happened.
That's kind of how it happens in the comics, though. I mean,
right. But
he doesn't hold back. There's no build up. It's just bam.
Right.
One of you's going.
okay, you go. That I can get, but for the producers and the writers, editors, the way they pace the show, the way they work out commercial breaks, etc.
Sure.
I heard them. Yes, they did say before, like, no, we're not going to drag this out. You'll know exactly who it is in episode 1. I guess I either expected it to just be the flat out cold open where they weren't going to mess around at all and they were just going to reveal it right there before the credits, or they might drag it out and like within the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes get it.
That's kind of what I thought was going to happen. They were going to drag it out till the end of the episode and then do it.
Right, and then you'd have enough time for like the emotional reaction from the group, the impact. And to be fair, that last scene of them all, that was beautifully written and acted. Just that way that he puts these strangers in front of him, torments them for a few hours, decimates 2 of their skulls into oblivion, and then completely and utterly breaks down the leader that is the rock of the group. Exactly. And then basically just says,
I'll see you later.
See you in a week, you better have what I want. And then they just leave. They don't care what they may or may not try to do to them. They don't, like, cause they feel, he feels he's gotten his point across, he feels he's won, but you're just left with, oh, okay, so you're just, everyone's just pulling out now and you're gone, and those people are now just left to look, at the 2 people that were just taken from them and figure out what to do, not even what to do next, but what to do that very moment. Like, do I blink my eyes? Do I breathe? Do I say anything? Do I sit up? Do I move a muscle? What do I do this moment?
I don't know if you even caught it, dude. And like, as he was leaving, he's like, oh, here, we'll leave you this truck, because you'll need it to get my shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like nothing happened. Like, I just stepped on a bug and I'm leaving. Peace out.
Uh-huh. And someone, I think it was on The Talking Dead, one of them pointed out, I don't know if it was Hardwick or one of the producers or somebody, did point out that, after all of that, and yes, maybe there's a slight revenge factor built into it, but out of everybody in the group, Maggie is the only one that still sort of had the we're gonna get him
fire.
The fire. Exactly. She might not have a plan, she might not have an idea, nothing, but she's not been broken.
I felt like there was 2 things there they were gonna tease, and they teased the hell out of it, like I said earlier, with Rick's hand being chopped off. They teased it, and it didn't happen, and that's fine. And at the end, when Maggie's speaking that way, and she says, we need to get ready, and because I really thought she was going to say war, because the comics, that's actually the title of like a set of, I want to say 4 or 5 issues. It's a whole book. It's 6. 6. So it's a 6-issue run. It's called All Out War. And I thought she was going to say that, and she didn't. And I was like, that would have been perfect. It was just one of those things that I was hoping for, and didn't know I was hoping for it until it almost happened. But
well, that's true. But at the same time, if the point of what they were trying to get across with this story arc is, after 6 years, Rick has been broken, you can't automatically switch it over to, well, yeah, he has, but they'll regroup immediately, and basically the same cyclical set of events is going to take place. Like in the coming episodes, at least from a production standpoint, do you guys think they will drag out? No, honestly, well, not even drag out, but do you think it'll be at least like this first half of the season, this whole arc where Rick accepts that they are under Negan's nail?
I think so.
Yeah, I would think honestly, like, we're gonna get the end of the first half of the season before February is gonna be, my guess would be just the tease moving into the kingdom.
Yeah.
That would be my guess, is that like they go and the first meeting with Ezekiel and the tiger at the kingdom, and that's probably going to like either be like the tease to start the next season or the very end of the first half.
I can see that, because there's still a good bit of stuff that has to happen in between all of that, and I think too is like they're I mean, they're, you know how they spread out the show. They're gonna throw some filler episodes in that really aren't necessary. Because I mean, they even previewed that for this week's episode. Like, you saw Morgan and Carol in there, so I have a feeling the next couple episodes might even focus just on them. But they already showed that, like, upcoming.
Yeah.
They showed Rick's in the church in Alexandria and says, "Look, I'm not the boss anymore. Negan is."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think there's going to be a lot of dealing with that. Plus, there are a couple other things. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to spoil what else happens in the comic books. But there are a couple other, comic book or two-ish episodes, like issues that could be put in there too. That could be easily made into a couple episodes of TV. So I don't think anything's really going to happen until probably, I wouldn't be surprised until the end of the season.
And I think if we want to speculate moving forward and avoid spoilers, the one thing we definitely can do is speculate on Daryl and what's going to happen with him. Because, after all, not in the comics, we don't know what's going to happen with Daryl. So,
Daryl's not in the comics,
right?
So,
Yeah.
So we can.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say we can speculate. Go ahead.
Well, I thought. I mean, I kind of get it, but Jeffrey Dean Morgan really poked the real life fire that I'm sure Norman Reedus was hoping that, the internet would stay away from him. That obviously
he caused Glenn's death.
Exactly. The portrayal in the episode was after he kills Abraham, Daryl goes after Negan, gets a punch in, and that is like the sole reason that at least they portrayed that. Negan says, "All right, I guess we need to keep going. You don't get it yet." And then he just, like you said, the portrayal in the comics is, okay, that was it. It was just a reflex. Like, all right, let's keep going. Picked somebody for whatever reason. Maybe he was just closest to him at the time. Maybe he would have been his second choice anyway. Who knows? But then just cracked there. That was the big thing. That's when, someone like myself and maybe non-readers realized, holy frick, they did it. Like that's they're taking out Glenn. Like, holy frick, I can't believe it. But from the writing standpoint, because of that action, how did the episode end? Negan tells his people to take Daryl. They put him in a van and they leave with him. That is a very convenient way to get him, to remove him from the situation and not really have to address him for a while.
Sure.
Because you don't have to go into the worries about how is Daryl now feeling, this person he's been with for a couple of years. He just probably feels like he directly caused his death. From a writing standpoint, you can avoid that for another couple episodes, probably.
Yeah. I mean, to me, Negan, the motivations of the character is he thinks he can break Daryl and use him. I think he felt like the one of them to crack and come after him, he was just kind of waiting for it to happen.
Right.
And that was going to be whoever it was, that was his one with the fire that he knows he can break and turn against the others. For whatever twisted reason he believes, that first person to crack would be the one he could take. And I think that it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But I think it's going to put it'll give a lot of emotion probably to the character of Daryl's story arc this season, but it'll also slow it down a lot because he's going to spend a good portion of this in a cell or
he's
something
gonna have
along
limited
those
screen
lines.
time.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Because it throws a whole different wrinkle into what happens in the comics.
Plus, he's got to film Boondock Saints 3, too, so, I mean...
Yeah, he's got that going
gotta
on.
make room for
Which
that.
they better finally do if that's the case.
No, they are. It's already
Yeah.
it's greenlit.
But
Good.
in the comics, they end up in a similar situation with a different character. And it happens further down the line, so it's hard to say exactly whether or not the same thing that happened in the comics is going to happen later, or what happened in the comics with that character is going to happen because of Daryl. It's hard to say at this point, but
Yeah, there's a lot of stories still yet to be told, and I don't think we're gonna get into any of the more war kind of stuff until probably the second half of the season,
yeah,
at least.
the first half of the season is going to drag. It's going to feel like the first half of season 3 after dealing with the governor the first time, or
yeah. I mean, there's going to be a whole bunch of there's going to be some story building for Maggie. It looks like there's going to be definitely some more story building for Carol and the black dude.
Morgan.
Jesus Christ. Morgan, yeah. Just like there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. So I think, and I even think I saw like in one of the the previous trailers, like Tara and the black dude with the dreads, they're out somewhere. So I think their story's going to be part of it too. Like that wasn't even part of the comic book. So I think they're gonna figure out a way to stretch it.
That's a whole other thing. Is that Tara doesn't even know that the doctor
This happened.
is dead.
Doctor
the girl that was
dead. Now Glenn and
Right.
Abraham are dead. She doesn't know any of this stuff. They don't know her and what the hell is that black dude's name? Simon? No,
Who are you talking about?
black dude with the dreads from Alexandria that went with Tara.
Oh,
Glasses.
yeah, the dude that used to be on the, he was in, was it Raise the Blocker, or, oh, no, he was in, Compton.
Compton. Yeah,
Crap, yeah, I can't think of his name right now.
I can't remember what his name is. In the
Yeah.
movie,
Yeah.
but, it's yeah. So it's hard to say where it's gonna go. I have a feeling it's typical Walking Dead fashion, and it's gonna up one episode, and then the next couple episodes are gonna kind of just dip a little bit, and then they're gonna start climbing towards like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 again, and then 8's gonna be like epic,
Yeah.
and then 9 will be epic. And then it'll just dip again. It's
what they do.
It's all budget. It's all budget. You
Well,
can't have
it's budget and
chaos
television
the whole time.
If you have every episode being balls to the walls awesome, even that would
You'd blow through it
eventually
in a heartbeat.
right. It would be, oh my god, we had a 5-episode season and every episode was awesome, but who are these characters again? And
Yeah. You gotta build the story, and I'm
Right.
totally on board with that. Like, I know a lot of people bitch about the slower episodes and stuff like that. Even my best friend, who, as we're watching it, he's watching his house, I'm watching it in my house, we're texting each other the whole entire time.
Yeah.
And he'll bitch about that stuff.
I mean,
I personally, I don't mind the story building, because it's a TV show, and that's what I want to see.
yeah, I
Build me the
personally,
characters, let me get involved.
I personally would rather let a few episodes build up in my backlog and come back to it. But if it weren't for social media, I could do that.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
you log into Facebook once, you know what happened in the
Yeah.
last episode. So
Yeah. That's why my girlfriend gets so pissed off, because by Monday she already knows exactly, for the most part, what happened in the episode by the time me and her watch it.
I will say it was pretty funny Sunday night. Like, I wasn't even watching, but just Sunday night being on Facebook and Twitter and just seeing everybody explode about different things.
the little tear emojis and
Yeah, I don't think I saw anybody specifically say who went, but just everyone's were posting their reactions more or less.
Yeah.
yeah,
That was kind of fun to see.
If I had posted during that episode in the way that, like, I call it live tweeting, even though I just do it on Facebook. Whatever. 140 characters, bullcrap. But if I did that the way that I do, like when I'm watching the presidential debates, I probably would have been writing more comments during this episode than I do during the debates. Like it took
I
every
counted
ounce of me
one.
not to
I
just-
did count one on you, Josh. That was like 30 or 31, something like that during the first presidential debate, and I was like, "Wow, he's putting a lot out there. Is he paying attention to what's being said, or is he just tweeting the whole time? Is this just?"
It would have been like the same thing during this episode. It would have been like, oh my god, did you see they moved the camera over there and they briefly showed that car? Did you see the license plate? I think it might mean that they're gonna pick this person and that's gonna be who. It would have been like all conspiracy theories up until the moment they revealed it.
Well,
So this may be a dumb question. Is the comic still ongoing, or is it done?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
No,
yeah,
comics,
it's still going.
Comics are still going.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he keeps finding new stuff to write about, and
Yeah, I'm on there. I get now because I bought the compendiums. I bought the first 3 compendiums, which took me to what is it? 48, 48, 48. So whatever the hell that number is,
44.
144.
Yeah.
So that took me to that, and then I've bought the 2 trade paperbacks that have come out since, and those come out every 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm up to another 156 that would take me to, and I believe they're on 160 ish.
Okay.
Sounds right.
I think the current issue is 160, 161, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but it's
think
still
1 or
ongoing,
2 trade
yes.
paperbacks behind him, and yeah, I mean, I hope the show keeps on going because what's going on in the comics now is
Oh, I can't
pretty
wait for
damn
Whispers.
awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
spoiler, Whispers.
yeah. The name whispers. The name.
They
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
have like an endpoint in sight, right? Their comics just going to keep going until they feel like stopping.
That doesn't
I-
seem like the comics. have
I've
an
always
endpoint, no.
felt like the eventual endpoint, one way or the other, is that Carl and Rick walk off as the last 2 people on Earth. But the
You
last
can't have a happy ever after. You
no,
can't have
not for
that
them.
in
They're
this.
the last 2 people on Earth. That's not happy ever
I'm
after.
just saying you can't have that in general. You just can't have a happy ever after. It's gotta be bad.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think just Carl and Rick being the last 2 people alive is happily ever after. That's
No, yeah.
desolation and waiting to die. That's not
Like, would
good.
you rather see everybody wiped out at the end? That's,
Go out
that's
in
how
a blaze of glory,
That's
dude.
how it ends.
That's-
If everybody dies.
Just go out in a blaze of glory.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
since that is still open-ended and we are on, as Abraham would say, borrowed time this week, I'm going to steer this to one last topic real quick. So, but before I do that, I want to say that the actor and character that we could not think of from Alexandra, his name is Corey Hawkins, and his character is Heath
Heath,
That's
that's
it.
it. Damn
in
it.
Alexandria.
Yeah.
So the last question that I want to ask you guys, because I've been curious about this, I guess there's, especially at least on the show, I don't know about as much in the comics, but over the years, there has been, different characters who, when they do die on the show, apparently people who, there's like this universal acceptance that people dislike certain characters that I'm not all that aware of, because like nobody really gets under my skin. The first time it happened was when Lori died, I think, in the prison, after giving birth to Judith. And then I guess a lot of people weren't that big of a fan of Andrea as well, that I learned. I liked Andrea a lot.
Andrea, yeah. And she got annoying. From what she was in the comic books to what they made her in the show.
Okay.
It was, I didn't.
she was closer to a
care for
female
it.
version of Daryl in the comics, almost. It felt like.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
basically. Yeah.
But what were you going to ask, Josh?
Well, I guess sort of like, did you guys share those sentiments? Were there any characters like that have gone off so far that you were happy that they were no longer being portrayed because either their character or the person portraying them was not doing it in an entertaining and artful way, and you're happy that they were gone?
The only one that in my personal opinion, the only one that I was kind of like, I wasn't happy to see them go, but I was kind of like, okay, yeah, you had run your course because you were just starting to annoy me, was Dale.
Really?
Yeah, Dale, the voice of reason. But I get what he was doing, but like especially when it came time when they had that prisoner dude,
Yeah.
and I understand his point of view of the whole scenario, but it's just the way that they portrayed it and the way he acted it. I was just like, all right, yeah, okay, shut up, dude. You know,
I mean,
kinda
the
one of
thing
those
is with Dale, they did not portray him to be the voice of moral reason. He was in the comics for a lot of them, but he was also an old sleazebag who was sleeping with Andrea and her sister.
Yes.
Ew.
Yeah, so
Well, at
he
least
was
hopefully it
definitely
wasn't
a
at the
much
same time.
different character.
He was also
well,
the one that lost his leg, not Herschel.
Yes.
Oh,
That
okay.
one out there too.
For me personally, I would say that character has not been killed yet. I am really over the whole Sasha thing. Personally,
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's that interesting. Yes, she has PTSD. We don't need 4 episodes to tell us that. Let's move on.
Okay.
But the character that I actually feel opposite about, that I felt played so much a bigger role in the comics that they did not give the proper respect to, was Tyrese.
Okay.
Absolutely.
He was so monumental in the comics, and he was just kind of there for the show. Like, he didn't play... I mean, he was basically like a second main character for a large part of the first compendium, the first 50 issues or so of the comics.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was like the next guy down. He was the Daryl. And
yeah, he was. Yeah, you're right. He was the Daryl.
Yeah, he was the other guy
absolutely.
you really cared about, and they just didn't do that justice. And I felt bad when he died, because I was hoping they might eventually do him justice in that sense, and they just never did.
Yeah.
I'll say that his exit
Now he's
was
on
kind
Arrow.
of quick.
Yeah,
Oh, he's on Arrow now?
Yeah, he's the black. What's the new villain? The new main bad guy boss on Arrow now, Brian. The black guy.
Shit.
That's him.
Church.
That's
The
Tyrese.
church guy.
Yeah. Something church.
Something church, yeah.
But he's on Arrow now.
I at least got that reference.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Mike that, yeah, you know what, the more and more, like, cause I've gone back and reread the compendiums a couple times now, I think, cause actually when I got I had read Compendium 1 and Compendium 2, cause I got those both for Christmas several years ago, and then when I knew 3 was coming, I hurried up and reread 1 and 2 again, so I was like, it's all fresh.
See,
And, yeah, you know what, they really did, they really botched up on what Tyrese could have been as a character.
Yeah.
On the show.
And with the compendiums, I was the guy who was like hopping at the comic book counter like once a week. Like, did the second compendium come out yet, guys? Is it there yet? Is it there yet?
I got out with the third one. I was like, when the fuck is this thing coming out? And I actually had it on my phone for a calendar date, and I pre-ordered it on Amazon. So
Yeah, I mean that's 48 issues. That's like a couple years. You know,
4 years.
Well, they were releasing them quicker for the first 2.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
first.
Yeah, you're right. But now it's once a month, so
Yeah.
it's technically, to get 48 issues, you got to go 4 years now.
Yeah, and
So that's why I started switch back, and that's why I went to the trade paperbacks, because I can't wait 4 years for
the compendiums save you money. You get to read a lot all at once. But I'll tell you, just for the fact that the things weigh a ton and they're a pain in the butt to actually read, just get the trade paperbacks. If I have to make a recommendation to people wanting to read the comics, it's going to save you a good bit of money if you can find a good sale on a compendium for $30-$40, as opposed to buying 6, or no, I guess it would be 8 trade paperbacks per compendium that are going to cost you $10 a piece.
$10 to $15 a piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to save money, but you're going to sit with a 20-pound thing of comics on your lap while you're trying to read it and trying to hold it.
Talking about 20
I
comics.
honestly sold my compendiums. The only one I still have that's a full omnibus size comic is the Joe Kelly run on Deadpool. That's it. Anymore, I can't have. I like that one. I keep just because it's every Joe Kelly Deadpool that there is in one. So it's nice, but it's hard to read them. I mean, like when you get to when you're in the front of the compendium or the end of the compendium, and the thing is like trying to flip over on you. When you're in the middle, it's okay. But the front and the back ends, when you've got like 15 or 16 pounds in one hand and just a couple in the other. Ugh.
Hashtag comic book problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, first world comic book problems.
Yeah.
Well,
Just read fast, bitches.
I will end by saying I never experienced wanting a character off the show, except once, which was Jesse's dumb, stupid son, Sam, who sat up in his dumb room and then couldn't for freaking 5 minutes keep his dumb mouth shut while they tried walking through a sea of zombies.
Killed his whole family.
And got his whole freaking family killed.
And Carl shot in the face.
All they had to literally do, just Sam, shut up. Don't speak for 5 minutes. And the kid's like 13 years old. It's not even like trying to wrangle a 7-year-old. And
No.
just at the end of that like season break when they were leaving, and you just hear, "Mom, Mom," and I thought you're gonna get everybody killed, and you're shut up, shut your dumb stupid face.
They killed him off pretty good though too.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was the way that they
They
ate him
did,
was
but then
pretty awesome.
Jessie lost her crap, and then she got off her guard
Dude,
and went
wouldn't you
down.
if your child was
If
eating
that
your
was my
food
kid,
that
I would have laughed and kicked him further into the horde. If
him
that
further
was the
back.
kid, yeah, like no, I would have just left him. He wouldn't even have been in the line. I'd have said, "We'll be back sometime." You're a douchebag. We're going.
That's
See
what
ya.
Sarah and I said after we saw that. We said, you know what? The whole group should just slowly disengage their hands from him, keep walking, don't respond to his cries and his like calls of "Mom, Mom." Just keep walking. Let him go away. Just keep going. And he got it. Well, his brother was all flipped out too. But yeah, he got himself and his mom killed. And he's the only character I ever actively hated. But that is a sour way.
I would add him to my list too.
yeah.
Sorry, that is a sour way to end an episode, which is the hopeful zombie dismemberment of like a preteen. But oh well, the
10-year-old.
kid had it coming.
He did.
So any closing remarks, Brian? Why don't you give us our last thought?
I'm glad you guys enjoyed the show.
We do.
Without you guys, this episode wouldn't be possible. So, thank you.
We do. And I'll just say quickly, because Brian did not yet, check out the Facebook page, leave comments about this topic if you have your own thoughts about The Walking Dead or any of the seasons, the season premiere, if you don't ever want us to do this again, or if you'd like us to do it more,
We'll
let
try to
him
get
know.
you a full 2 hours at some point. I think we'll try to plan it better so we can get a full episode with Walking Dead for you guys at some point.
Maybe like a season review kind of thing, like or mid-season. Like
I
after.
feel like
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, they usually do the mid-season stuff, so I feel like that might be a good time to try to reconvene.
That'll be 7 weeks from now.
Yep.
Yep, 7 weeks.
Mark
All right.
your calendars.
We'll try to figure out what date that is. We'll
It's
plan it when
like
it gets
mid-December.
Yeah,
closer. That's Rogue One time.
it can be the
Rogue
Super
One
Friends
necessity.
Christmas present.
But it'll be right before Rogue One, so it'll be a good topic while you're waiting to have that.
Well, and you
Rogue
also
One
have
review.
from December to February to fit it in.
That is true.
Yeah, we
it
can
doesn't
find
have to
time in there.
happen. Yeah, so
Do a first half of the season wrap up and the second half of the season speculation.
That
There
is
you go.
true. So the other,
Yeah, I don't really know what else we got on tap. I know there's some geek news stories that I've put to the back burner over the last 2 weeks that I really, really want to talk about, so I think there's a buttload. That might have to be next week, I think. And then I think the following week, assuming we get enough people to see Doctor Strange, we could
Yep.
probably do a Doctor Strange review.
oh yeah, I'll
Planning
be
on
there. Not opening, but Saturday.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, as long as everybody can get around to it like that weekend.
Oh
Should
yeah,
be good,
yeah.
good for the
That'll
following
be
week.
that'll be no problem.
yeah.
I can't promise. So
Oh, come on. I'll go with you.
it's up to Jess, man. It's all up to Jess.
Well, you have a couple weeks to convince her.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? It's next weekend.
Yeah,
Okay, you have a week and a half to
Yeah,
convince
but we won't be able to record the episode talking about it till like the Wednesday or Thursday following its release. So that's like 2
Well, if
weeks.
it ain't on the weekend, we ain't seeing it. So that's, if we don't get to go on the weekend, it'll be the following.
Mike's got
weekend,
his window.
yeah.
we
it's
gotta make it
Benedict
happen in that
Cumberbatch.
window.
My wife's in. So
So, yeah,
Yeah, see if you can sell her on the Cumberbatch.
Yes.
she don't even know who the fuck that is.
We've already lost.
she doesn't watch Sherlock. Wow,
no, she don't watch TV.
Sherlock. Honestly, it's the only show close to The Walking Dead for me. So
But that is for another day.
Yeah, one other thing I'll probably just end with. You can find us now on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. Feel free to drop us a 5-star rating and review on any of those sites. That'll help us out, get noticed and recognized. And be sure to share, subscribe, favorite us, whatever you need to do to come back to us and find us later. Keep it easy for yourself. And I guess that's it. On behalf of Josh, Mike, and myself, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.